Hello and welcome to GMBN. It's the end of the year and I've had a look at the World Cup season in cross-country, Olympic, downhill and enduro racing to see what bikes were the fastest and scored the most victories this season. So without further ado, let's start off with the Enduro World Cup or EDR winning bikes. So there was a total of 14 wins up for grabs in the EDR season. We saw 6 different winning bikes. The Lapierre Spicy CF under the indomitable Isabeau Courdurier took 4 wins and a further 2 podiums. Morgan Shah's consistency and Matt Walker's flash of brilliance gave the Pivot Firebow 3 wins and 4 further podiums, and then winning 2 races each this year with the Yeti SB160, the Giant Rain Advance, Canyon Strive, and then Reese Verner's 130mm Forbidden Druid took the win in Leogang. It was a concentrated season of top 3s. The Lapierre, the Pivot and the Yeti filled 19 of the possible 42 top 3 spots across that whole season. So they're very dominant bikes, then underneath it's quite open. Something else to note was one of the few riders to switch up bikes through the season, Jesse Melamed. He rode a 150mm Canyon Spectral onto the podium in Derby and then switched out for the 160 Strive and won 2 races on it. It is quite a small field and number of races, so the EDR stats are quite open to being skewed by a dominant rider, which they are. It's Isabeau Courdurier. Somewhat unsurprisingly, given that they delivered 11 different riders to a top 3 position, Commencal come out on top with their Supreme V5 taking 8 wins this year. That's 2 in Elite with Thibaut Deprella and Benoit Coulange and 6 junior wins. So this is especially impressive considering that for the whole season, the French brand's previously prolific winners, Amaury Pierron and Myriam Nicole, were sidelined with injury, and last year's World Cup champion Camille Ballanche joined them on the sidelines halfway through the season. So second overall and leading the elite victory table thanks to a certain Valley Hole's 5 victories, the Trek Session walks away with 7 World Cups in 2023. In third place on 5 wins, the Santa Cruz V10 was also a popular choice with 9 different riders landing a top 3 finish. After that, the Atherton AM200 took 3 wins that world champs with Charlie Hatton, Andy Kolb's first one in Leogang, and Rachel Atherton's amazing victory in Lenzerheide to start the season. The GT Fury took 3 wins, Scott Gambler took 2 wins on the Marine Cabaroo, Transition TR11 took 2 wins as well, and then Specialized's Old Demo and the Prototype Demo, the YT Tours and the Canon Sender all won 1 race each. There's a number of things to pick out. Firstly, there's a bit of a cluster around 3 bikes again, similar to Enduro, but with a much bigger sample size. So the Commencal Supreme V5, Trek Session, and the Santa Cruz V10 took 20 out of the 34 wins and 61 out of the 102 top 3 spots under 24 different riders. The Trek is high pivot mixed wheel, Santa Cruz is mixed if you're small, full 29 if you're Menard, and he was on the podium in Aransal. The Commencal is a kind of high pivot 6 bar. It has an idler, so we'll call it high pivot, and that's a mixed wheel bike. The Trek is 200mm, the Santa Cruz is 280mm, and the Commencal is 220mm rear travel. So there's differences and similarities then, but overall, if you have the most riders on your bikes, you'll get the most good results. What I find interesting is that these 3 brands were the only bikes to win both an elite and a junior finals race. Beyond that, there were 5 different elite winning bikes, Atherton, Scott, YT, Specialized, both demos, 3 junior winning brands, GT, Transition and Canyon. 31 of the wins were on mixed wheel, 18 out of 34 were high pivot, and 18 were also 200mm rear travel. The range of travel was clustered really tightly between 200 to 220mm. Commencal and GT, the only air-sprung bikes, but they did take 11 out of the 34 wins. In the world of super fast, super light bikes, there's an interesting story of same and different. Every bike is on full 29-inch wheels, but this was the only category where a hardtail took the victory, so it's unusual these days, even in cross-country. That's Pauline Ferrand-Prévot won the 2023 World Championships in Fort William, Scotland on a Pinarello Dogma XE HT hardtail, fitted with an Axon Works Suntour Tax forks up front, but she was the only rider on a hardtail all year. The XCO races across Elite and U23 saw the greatest number of winning bikes. That's 15 different winning bikes in 36 finals races. The headline figure is that the fastest bike, the bike that won the most races in 2023 is the Canyon Lux, a total of 5 wins this year thanks to Puck Peterson and Luana Lecomte, and Lucas Schwartzbauer, Sam Gaze and Thomas Griot also landed on the podium riding a Lux. Behind that, it was the Giant Anthem Advance, Scott Spark and Willia Urta SL. They had 4 wins each. It's a long tail of winners, so Specialized, Pinarello, Cannondale, Trek, Thomas, Rock Rider, Bixis, Liv and BMC all top the podium at a World Cup this year. Samara Maxwell was the only rider to win on 2 different bikes. So first the Giant Anthem, and then after signing a pro contract off the back of winning her Under-23 World, she won on a Rock Rider Race 940S prototype. And this really points to the depth and competitiveness of the XCO field. While in the past, we saw Nino Schurter score perfect unbeaten seasons. This year, there were loads of different riders and bikes taking the top step. Only 2 bikes won both categories, the Scott Spark, written by Nino Schurter, Dario Lillo and Oliver Verdoso Solhoy, and the Specialized Epic World Cup under Adrian Bocchi and Laura Stigger. There are a total of 18 victories for 100mm rear travel bikes. That's half of all the wins. So in downhill, the winningest bike, the Mode, the most common, had 200mm rear travel, and the mean, so when you add them all out, is 205, so it's pretty close. It means the data is basically symmetric. And if you discount Pauline, then it's the same in XC. 100mm was the most popular bike, and the mean was 100.5, so that means there's no skew. Pauline's bike drags it down to 93mm average, but we might bin that as an outlier. And if you delve one step deeper into the data, the downhill bikes are tightly clustered around that mean. The standard deviation is only 6.7mm, and that kind of tells you how close it's around that average. With Pauline France Prevot in there, the standard deviation in XC is a huge 29mm. Without it, it's only 13.5mm. So it's interesting to see that in some respects, the XC bikes are quite homogenous. They all have 29-inch wheels, all got a dropper, pretty much all got XCL SRAM Eagle. The travel itself varies so much, and there's been a lot of talk about XC bikes getting burlier, more travel. The most common winning setup is still that classic 100mm rear. As far as I can figure out, every winning XCO bike was running a dropper post, so these can feature as little as 60mm drop on the D232 DT Swiss equipped Thomas Light Rider ridden to victory by Lars Forster in Leogang, Austria, but his teammate Matthias Flukinger actually won in Pau Arensau on a longer drop post. Matthias and his teammate Alessandro Keller, the 2022 XCO and XCC World Cup winner, tend to run the longer drop post because they've got longer arms and legs, and that's something that their mechanics showed us earlier in the season. Thanks for watching, everyone. I had a really good time filling in my spreadsheet, working out who and when had won which race this year on what bike. It was probably a 100mm XC bike. If you want more of that analysis, give us a like and a follow and a subscribe on YouTube, and we'll keep bringing these videos to you. We'll see you next time.